housing obligation. The rules were invalidated, so we had that they call into next year, 2025. So it's quite a long period from 1999 to 2025 where Hainsport is satisfying what is been determined. Work here was to come up with a plan to meet those numbers to show that we could satisfy this affordable housing requirement. The first table I wanted to draw your attention to is the prior round table. We're proposing to meet the prior round obligation. You could see that we have Davenport Village, which is 56 existing rental complex in Masons Creek development, which there's a total of 39 affordable homes there. 35 are being credited towards the prior round. We also have a total of developed 2 existing market to affordable homes. These are homes that were existing and received a financial contribution to make them affordable to a low and moderate income buyer. That's the prior round. Totals up to 146 with the allowable bonus credits, which is actually 4 short of the 150. We're going to make that up with what's in the next table, which is on page 35, table 25, the compliance mechanisms for the third round obligation. We're going to meet the obligation here is through a 72 unit new construction, 100% affordable project on Creek Road developed by the Walters Group. We're also proposing or planning for a 55 plus senior project called that project is a 70 unit project. We're not going to claim all the credits. Excuse me? Okay.
Randolph, that was 22, right?
No, I thought Randolph was 660.
60?
All right, well, we'll make that correction. There'll be surplus credits for the future rounds. But at 2025 is coming up, Hainsport will have a new number, so we're already looking ahead to see what can we kind of put in the bank to apply for that next round. We also have completed a for sale home at 2312 Walnut. It's from Glen at Masons Creek. I mentioned before we are claiming 35 for the prior round, 4 for this gap plus prospective need. There's also supportive housing at Legacy, 5 bedrooms that will go towards this round. In addition, we've extended the controls on affordable homes at Glen at Masons Creek to get another credit. We're proposing another special needs supportive housing group home, 3 bedrooms. Davenport is going to be, is looking to,
Done.
excuse me?
It's already done.
It's already done, already done. 16 more units. We're also going to develop 9 accessory apartments. And identify market rate housing and restrict it as lower moderate income with a subsidy to make it affordable to a buyer.
Can you tell me what the R and the S in the?
Yes, thank you. Of the what's in the plan, and I mentioned when I started off about what happens next. We are looking to adopt the housing element and fair share plan, and then have a.
John Gillespie, I'm the township attorney and Affordable Housing Council. Please, that's all right. We're asking you to approve this. The township committee will then consider it on January 30th. They'll adopt a resolution as well if you refer to them with your approval. Here's some other number. We'll fill in the correct number at the top of page 37. When Megan was talking about the 9 units on page 35 in the chart for accessory apartment program, the other, and it is the ordinance that will allow what Megan just described as the accessory apartments. So you'll be, the next thing you'll do after you make a motion on this hopefully favorably, will be to consider that ordinance.
Bunch of questions.
All right.
If we could start on page 35. Walters/Creek Road. Has that been identified previously?
I think 2 years ago, this board reviewed that and recommended it back favorably as consistent with the master plan. So it has been zoned to accommodate that. The Township Committee has subsidized that project, so it becomes a grant. Right now, it's secured by a loan. And then the committee has also committed to additional funding for 6 of the units, because the funding mechanism at the state allows for 66. The governing body is subsidizing 6. And 100 money in the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The governing body on January 30th will also be considering a spending plan. And that spending plan identifies the sources of the revenues, where the money's coming from. The great bulk of that has come from a couple of the warehouses to pay these obligations.
Okay, on that same line, Walters Creek Road, what are the 50 bonus unit? What is that? What did I miss?
72 units, but we can get 50 extra credits per the rules, which is a good thing, because it's basically a numbers game, but where we have that bonus credit. So like if we were just right off the bat, subtract 50 from that, it's 147 units instead.
Thank you. Next, what are where is Randolph Senior Estates?
That's the project.
Faith Assembly.
Was it another name before?
Christian Faith Assembly.
Oh.
It's that
Over their
church.
building, okay, got
Correct.
it. I know. what you
Behind
mean.
the church, yep.
Okay, well, does everybody on the board know what we're talking about here? Because I know some of you weren't. I'll shut up for a while if anybody else has any other questions.
How does low to moderate versus low play into all this?
So generally the rules are, and there's some, changes, but generally what it is every project has 50% of the units can be moderate income, and 37 low income level, that's 13% need to be very low, can make up to 34,000. A low income family of 4 can make up to 57,000, and a moderate income family of 4 can make up to. Thank you.
Can we go back to chart 35? Table 25, I'm sorry. Of Walters Creek. I recall there was going to be 72 units there,
Yes, sir.
and 10 of them are going to be for family. Can I assume the rest,
They're-
62 are senior?
Yeah, it's a tough table, a number of very low income units, so that table is identifying that there's going to be 10 family, very low income units.
Okay, thank you.
And Megan, just going back to when you were talking about the income, these individuals are income qualified and they do have to be gainfully employed, correct? They have proof of employment to show that
Yeah.
and they're qualified each year?
Where you can't make more than that. There's also, if for, let's say, the Glen at Masons Creek, you need to be able to buy a home, you need to be able to qualify for a mortgage, have a down payment, have good credit, so it's not like you need to have a certain job, but you need to be able to qualify for a mortgage. With the rental projects, the low-income housing tax credit projects, the Creek Road, they will, again, have a hard, we're gonna look to make sure they have tenants who, are good tenants and will pay the rent. And then there is an annual certification for those rentals.
Yeah.
But also, Paul, to your point, it is a very, these things, so Megan's group will be charged with that responsibility, I think?
So CGP&H will currently handles the 39 units at the Glen, but the Walters Group
Yeah.
and Randolph is,
I would estimate that these incomes would go off with maybe the consumer price index or something year to year, or some
Yes, the income limits go up every year, and they're based on the regional median income. So household income is what raises the, yeah. Yep.
And our region is, just so you know, our region is Burlington, Camden, and Gloucester counties. We're region-
What's the rent? You happen to know the rent?
Yeah, I have some,
The rent?
I do have some sample rents. I'll give you some two-bedroom numbers. Right now,
So if I get a big raise, I'm very low income, single, and I get a big raise, do I wind up paying a little more rent, or do I get thrown out?
your rent would increase. There's some room there, and I believe, I'm personally not an expert with the tax credit regulations, though, as Paula mentioned, that Walters Group will be handling that.
Rent,
The rent will go up,
the
yes,
rent will go up.
yeah.
So would it be, so I qualified as very low, 24,000. My tax return comes in at 40, would I be for all of us, and I just wanted to know. Well, that answers the question, thanks.
What about homeowners like in
Yeah.
Neglect Masons Creek?
Thank you. With home ownership, your income can increase, and you do not get in, you're in, and then when you sell, it's sold to, the maximum resale price is capped. There's a small percentage allowed each year for the amount of time you own it, and then when you sell it, it's sold to another low and moderate income person.
You're
Question now, with the very low income and the low income, will there be any government programs to assist those individuals that qualify for those properties such as costs?
As far as I know, there's no additional subsidy on top of the rents that I just quoted you. And I would, without seeing the exact, do put in additional subsidies. I'm just not aware of any that exist. The town does have an affordability assistance program as part of this housing plan that we're putting together, which will pay for first month's rent for anyone moving, paid through the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, pays the equivalent of 1 month's rent to help even a moderate income person come up with all of those expenses in one lump sum. So that is a new program.
That's pretty similar to the first-time home buyers program that the county, that's a completely separate, and oftentimes we kind of have to navigate that narrative and that rhetoric. This is not Section 8, this is affordable housing.
Some people will ask, well, are they going to have Section 8 housing
Right.
in there? So
It's lower, it doesn't change based on the applicant that walks through the door. It's lower than market, but the rent is the rent, and if the person can afford it, they can rent it, yeah.
In reality, when it's drop, we're moving in younger families, and again, state police, and that's, something right in the range of the starting salary, teachers, general, other wages, so it's not.
This is online, right?
Just takes
Yeah, no, this is the most recent one. So the purpose tonight is to,
If you've gone through the master plan and you want to talk about consistency with the master plan, but in your last master plan reexamination report, you had a number of references to third round affordable housing. The last report dated your goals and objectives, overarching goals of the community. Number 2, meeting the housing needs of a wide range of income and age levels with particular attention paid to accommodating the township's low and moderate income housing obligation through the provision of various types of housing. Of the master plan reexamination report, you have a whole section again on housing plan, talking about, at that time, as the current housing plan was prepared, it became apparent that Hainesport can accommodate 240 units, which includes the gap. In discussions with Fair Share, we came up with 197. Plus the 4 that Megan referenced. We thought the 150 were achieved from the prior round. We only learned in the course of all this, 4 were short. And that's why one of this charts shows 201. The board is familiar with it. You did adopt it some time ago. And so we would ask that the board find that indeed this housing element and fair share plan is consistent with the master plan that you adopted as part of your overall plan.
about this accessory apartment program?
That's the next discussion.
The next,
But you also have to open this up to the public before you vote.
well, let me, I just want to, I have some other questions, and I want to,
Introduced and referred to you, that would be the next item for you to discuss after you close the public hearing and vote on the housing element and fair share plan.
okay, that's, I just want, I want to know when to bring it, because I have a couple of, okay.
And that's 20,
Well, eventually, yeah, I do want you to go on 2404, correct.
I'm confused.
That's later on, right? There's a resolution that Bob prepared, which is 05, or somebody prepared. That's the one that'll be the first one.
What's behind?
Oh, it's this one.
Should have been first.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions of Mrs. York relative to?
There's five individuals online. If anybody has a comment on the housing element and fair share plan?
Can you step forward to? And Mr. Kingsbury will swear you in, state your name, and, oh, she doesn't have to? All right, sorry.
Cindy Tavermina, 105 Mason Woods Lane. So, big units going up there, safety concerns and traffic concerns and all that. That is what I want you guys to all think about before you say yes to this master plan. We had come, we actually came to the board place for that. If you all know Creek Road, you know, under the bridge, that's where they're gonna go. It's a lot of units. It's like 2-3-story buildings. It's huge. We don't have the police, we don't
I
have,
thought you were talking about the one out on, I appreciate your comment, but that's not really part of what we're talking
well,
about.
that's what I'm,
Right-
I didn't know if it was, right?
Yeah, that's okay. Well, you can, we have public comment later on. You can talk about anything.
Okay.
Right now, we're looking at this specific action we're
For the
taking.
mayor, how can you put this, you know, this big unit back there? And then they went and got a new master plan saying, oh, we're gonna put this big unit back there. So, you know, I guess that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep.
Any questions, or what's your pleasure on the first part of this subject tonight, which is the
You're voting on,
review the amendment of the portion?
first vote we're going to vote on is to adopt the housing element of the master plan, whether or not you're going to do that.
And are there any contingencies associated with that?
This is, there's a resolution that you have, it's the one at the top, it says resolution approving and adopting housing element.
And approve Resolution 2024-01 as written.
Well, not to leave things hanging.
Wait a minute.
I need a second on the motion.
Are we sure it's 2024-1?
Yeah, that's, I'm
That's
having
the
trouble
town's-
finding it. That's, so Mr. Bradley has made a motion to approve that, and we need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, are there any questions on the motion? Hearing none, have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Mr. Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
And Mr. Colpfeiffer?
Yes. Okay, so the next portion of this, the
This
access-
is the new affordable accessory apartment ordinance.
Right.
The township has introduced, they're referring it to you to determine if it's consistent with the master plan.
okay,
You do not need
that's part of the Township Ordinance 2401, right?
Yes.
2024-1, yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that?
It's a typo. In the third line, it says Chapter 430 entitled zoning. It should be Chapter 104 entitled land use. The very top, just below the title.
Yeah, should be what?
It should be Chapter 104 entitled land use. That's
Yeah.
that was my mistake.
So that'll be corrected before the township
Yes, sir.
takes final action. Well, then, as long as we're on that, let me get into mine. If we could turn,
That has actually been removed from the ordinance.
I'm
That was accidentally put in there. Is that the Faulkner Act language, John? Ordinance.
Oh, okay, because the one I'm looking at doesn't have that.
Right, that's right.
oh, so section 7 is out?
So this ordinance shall be presented to the mayor for his approval and signature, which approval shall be granted or denied within 10 days of 10 days after it has been presented to him. Then this ordinance shall be deemed approved.
That's out.
That's out.
That whole thing's out?
That's out. It was a mistake. That's for Faulkner, that's for,
Well, I wanted to,
Yeah.
my correction was going to be, then we're going to take no action.
and if I may, so what you see in front of you is Section 8 is actually now Section 7. And after 1 adoption, it says approval, number 2 is removed, so 3, publication in accordance with the laws of the state of New Jersey actually now becomes 2. Filing of the final form of adopted ordinance by the clerk with A, the Burlington County Planning Board, that actually now becomes,
You said all of section 2 is out?
so Section 8, below Section 7 that we just removed,
Right,
Section 8 now becomes Section 7.
okay.
This ordinance shall take effect immediately upon 1, adoption, then 2, approval by the mayor pursuant to, that is removed.
Oh, I got you.
And
6. You have the word if, and I believe you.
that's of,
Of. And the second line is also that same problem. Is the township, if, Hainesport.
Oh, we know it's Hainesport.
And under section 6, the second line has that same problem.
This thing, right?
You're being asked to determine whether this is consistent or inconsistent with the master plan.
Okay.
Regardless of typos.
I don't mean to be picky, but I don't like approving something that's not correct.
Are you talking about the ordinance or the resolution?
the ordinance, the township
ordinance.
governing body's ordinance.
Oh, so they got the,
They got the reversion prior to our corrections. I just didn't want to make more copies and burn a tree down. So my apologies.
You can determine consistent and the adoption of this resolution be contingent upon correcting those items.
Yeah, okay, that's all I want to do.
Another reason why we should go.
And Mrs. Costco, you know what has to be correct.
Yeah, we had already actually caught those
Okay,
from the governing body introduced.
all right. Okay, so this does not have to go to public comment.
Not require a public hearing.
All right. Are there any other questions by anybody on the board?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to point out something to the planning board, joint land use board. You'll notice on the second page of the ordinance, number 17, in parenthesis, talks about no more than 9 affordable accessory apartments are permitted within the town of Hainesport.
Right.
And that is consistent with the housing element and fair share plan that you just approved. If you recall, table 25 on page 35 had
Said-
accessory apartment program 9.
9, yes. Okay. See, I had it underlined over here, too. Okay. So, board, we need to take action. I need a motion and a second to, how did you word it, Mr. Kingsbury?
To determine that the ordinance is not inconsistent with the master plan.
Okay. So it would be the ordinance as amended
Adopting this
in a second.
I'll make a motion,
Okay?
exactly what he said.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any questions on the motion? If not,
Mrs. Baggio?
Yes.
Ms. Costco?
Yes.
And Mr. Kroll Pfeiffer?
yes. Now, there was a third, was there a third portion? The agenda says next is minutes, but we don't have minutes.
No, we don't have anything. I
No,
just
it's
kept it
not
right there
appropriate.
in case anything.
So we're moving into resolutions 2024-4, which
4 and 5.
we don't need any,
No.
well, we just did, so.
Yes, correct,
We're not doing correspondence,
correct.
don't have any professional comments yet. Any more professional? No? Specifically pertaining to this master plan amendment, do we have any comments from the public online, or, ma'am, did you have anything? No, we're good?
Unmuting themselves, so I'm gonna assume they don't have a comment.
All right. Well, we're at that point for adjournment.
Motion, then we adjourn.
Yeah. We have a second? We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all.
On behalf of the committee, two of whom are sitting here, we thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you. Good presentation, folks.